Yeah, she has no moral compass, no standard that would keep her from doing just about anything. And in fact, that video right there shows that there is no length to which she would not go.
And welcome to Tearing Down High Places. My name's Average Joe, here with Pastor Jeff and Pastor Tim. And, well, hello, Mrs. Robinson. Here's to you. Here's to you, Mrs. Robinson.
Jesus loves you more than you could know. Told us this.
Amen.
Amen. That is awesome. We're very blessed to have a special guest today. Mrs. Robinson is in the house. Mare, welcome to Tearing Down High Places.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, it's really great. So what was it that made you say, Tim, I need to be on Tearing Down High Places today?
Well, I just so happened to join Tim and coming to the church today. And Jeff was like, I think Mare should be on the podcast because we're talking about none other than the, I guess, non-elected Democratic nominee, Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris is today's topic. That is true.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So what are you, Jamaican or something? Or what's the connection?
What's the well, I feel like as a woman, because you hear so much about women of color mainly who are like, you know, she's representing us. And for me, like it's just, I guess you could say I like to bring things to light. And I feel like you should not be voting based off of somebody having the same gender, same race, or anything for that matter. It should be about the policies and what they're enacting, because this is going to affect us in the future. So I try to bring as much light as possible to the situation and kind of bring up, you know, talking points for people that follow me on social media. So, you know, maybe if there's an inkling where they feel the same way that I do, or they're questioning, you know, her policies or who she is just in general, we can have a conversation about it and hopefully rub off on them in a little bit that they have a little bit more sense.
That's great. Well, I feel like we're going to get a big jump on, or a big bump on social media today because of you. So that's awesome. I hope And speaking of that, listen, if you're to the audience, if you are watching this, if you watch with any regularity, please subscribe. We're rolling along our 3 different platforms below. We've got rumble.com/TDHP, and our other 2 channels you can get to. You can go to cornerstonesj.org, but it's a little, you got to go here and there. We got a new page going to come up in the future for that, but you can also do tinyurl.com/TDHP on YouTube, or tinyurl.com/TDHP on Spotify. And that's an easy way to subscribe. And please subscribe, even if you don't have notifications on your phone or things like that, because it really helps us with the algorithm and things. And we need help, because today we're going to get crushed by YouTube. They're not going to like what we're talking about. And that's okay. I did a little Stuart Smalley there. That's okay.
You know, Joe, when I think about Kamala Harris, the first thing that comes to mind is that whole coconut tree thing. You fall out of a coconut tree, and everybody's like, what is she even talking about? Sometimes she'll go on these like weird little rants. Like I have one of them here I wanted to read. This is from Kamala Harris, where she says, the governor and I, we were all doing a tour of the library here and talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create these jobs. And there is such great significance to the passage of time when we think about it in a day in the life of our children. Joe Gormley, what does that mean?
I have no idea. It's nonsense. She has a few of these really, really tough limericks, I think they are. I'm
Yeah,
not
they're
sure.
very odd limericks, but when you read them, you think, well, this is a harmless woman, Joe. This is a woman who's just, she's just got silly ideas and she laughs a lot. And some
Yeah,
people think that's a bit of an annoying laugh, but
right.
regardless, she's just a harmless woman. What you told me about today is something I was not aware of, but you're going to introduce it. A video. We are not dealing with an innocent, harmless woman
No,
in Kamala Harris.
we're not. We're not.
Take it away.
Evil is not always what it seems to be.
Mm.
In fact, how often would you say evil is easily discerned?
Well,
It depends on your God.
yeah, even demons will disguise themselves as angels of light, biblically. And that's also true of those who are false prophets. They don't come to you and announce themselves for what they are. They're hidden under sheep's clothing. And
Yeah.
I believe that's precisely what that outward persona of just somebody who's just harmless and jovial and silly even.
Yep.
This is not the case at all.
She is not a good candidate. She is steeped in evil, and we're going to watch a video today that she was not only very involved in promoting abortion, but she was very much the key to preventing the entire crumbling of the system of Planned Parenthood. She did and wielded her power to protect Planned Parenthood during the expose of selling baby body parts. And it's evil and it's sick. And we're going to watch a little video right now, and I'm going to pull it up. Oh, just a little reminder, everyone. This is another reason you need to subscribe to channels like Rumble and Spotify, because YouTube doesn't like what we put up there. This is actually pre-recorded. I was able to record, I think, out of my cache, or it's still available on YouTube, but you can't get there through their website. They're completely blocking this.
What we have all known, and Planned Parenthood for certain has known, is that we can never take for granted that any of the gains that we have achieved will be permanent.
We cannot go backwards, and we cannot tolerate a perspective that is about going backwards.
I'm David Leiden, and I'm the founder and project lead with the Center for Medical Progress. 5 years ago, my undercover videos caught Planned Parenthood's top leadership trafficking and selling the body parts of aborted infants. America's biggest abortion business was desperate and furious, so they turned to their political patron, then California Attorney General Kamala Harris, for help.
She's standing beside us, strong.
At Planned Parenthood's special request, Kamala Harris targeted me to punish and silence my message about the abortion industry and fetal trafficking. I'm not the first person to ever record undercover video in California. Local news reporters routinely record and publish undercover video exposing factory farming, corrupt medical practices, and unlicensed marijuana vendors. Yet somehow I have become the first person to ever have the California video recording law enforced against me for a news gathering.
We will celebrate the fact that we know how to fight.
We know how to fight. I just wanted to pause there just to recap, and everybody recognizes that Kamala Harris's title at this time is Attorney General for the state of California. As Attorney General for the state of California, she is using a law that has never been used since it was written. It was a law that specified that your freedom of speech is constrained in certain situations because you may be impinging on the rights of others. And they're going to talk more about how they made sure they went out of their way to make sure they didn't infringe on anyone else's rights.
So just to be clear, what's happening here is an undercover agent of some sort, some kind of journalist, had video evidence of people trafficking in human body parts from aborted humans.
Right.
And he exposed this. And so she prosecuted him rather than the ones who are trafficking in human body parts. She prosecuted him for having an undercover video. That's what you're saying to me.
That's right. That's exactly right. Okay, here we go.
Kamala Harris met in secret with a group of California Planned Parenthood executives in Los Angeles in March 2016, while she was running for U.S. Senate and promoting Planned Parenthood in her campaign. Action items from the meeting show that they discussed Planned Parenthood's legislative agenda in California, as well as Planned Parenthood's lies that my videos contained threats, with 2 of the Planned Parenthood witnesses in Kamala Harris's investigation present at the political meeting. Less than 2 weeks later, Kamala Harris sent 11 California DOJ agents to raid my 1-bedroom apartment, with explicit instructions from Planned Parenthood to seize the computer and video equipment that I was using to publish the undercover videos. California Penal Code 632 prohibits secretly recording a confidential communication without the consent of all parties, and defines confident.
So I just want to point out, it said in there in that note, Planned Parenthood would like to seize their computers. And some judge said, sure, why not? That's evil in itself, and it's an abuse of the law, right? So there's a group of people engaged, and when you have that power, it will be wielded. It'll be wielded against us. Anybody else?
Well, we're talking about California. This is what leftist policies do in a state. And now the idea is to take what's been done in California and make that all of the United States of America. Take this former attorney general who turned California into a wasteland and make all of America endure the same thing.
This is why states' rights are so important.
Yes.
As a communication that you cannot reasonably expect will be overheard by other people. So my team was scrupulous to record our California videos in places of public accommodation like crowded restaurants, where the conversations were obviously overheard. But you can't necessarily say the same thing about local TV reporters in California, who have taped inside of private doctors' offices and inside of private homes. Yet not a single one of them has ever been charged with undercover video recording in California in the 60-year history of California's video recording law. Mine is the first and only case. And there's another piece to the California video recording law that specifically allows recording even a confidential conversation in order to gather evidence relating to violent crimes. The entire purpose of our video recording in California was to document and expose the violent crimes of fetal trafficking, including selling infants aborted alive and killing them through organ harvesting and medical battery against pregnant women. If those aren't crimes of violence, I don't know what is. But Kamala Harris's investigation never even considered our purpose or addressed those crimes, even though local Southern California law enforcement prosecuted and shut down 2 of Planned Parenthood's business partners based on my video recordings. By the way, those business partners, the Da Vinci companies, they actually admitted guilt in a $7.8 million settlement for illegally selling body parts from abortions at Planned Parenthood Orange County. Who was the top abortion doctor for Planned Parenthood Orange County supplying those body parts? Dr. Jennifer Russo, one of the participants in the March 2016 meeting with Kamala Harris and one of the Planned Parenthood witnesses. You have to wonder, if I had been investigating unsafe grocery handling practices, animal abuse, or unlicensed gun sales, would Kamala Harris have ever thought to pursue video recording charges against me? It's pretty obvious that the reason that I alone was targeted by Kamala Harris is because I dared to criticize Planned Parenthood and the abortion industry. What Kamala Harris did isn't treating people fairly or equally under the video recording law. In fact, Kamala Harris's deputy prosecutor, Jeanette Jarone, admitted in a court filing that the reason her office targeted me alone among all undercover reporters in California was because my videos were, quote, edited for shock value, and that made me, quote, more culpable than other undercover reporters in California. Obviously, I dispute the characterization that my videos were edited for shock value. What they show Planned Parenthood doing is shocking enough. But more importantly, it is your First Amendment right to promote the significance of your own message. When she said that I was targeted because of the content of my videos, Kamala Harris's deputy prosecutor admitted that the reason that I was targeted and I alone was to punish what I have to say. Planned Parenthood sells baby parts. That's why I'm suing Kamala Harris, the California Attorney General, Planned Parenthood, and others in Los Angeles federal court for conspiracy to violate First Amendment civil rights. This is crucial to defend the First Amendment rights of all Americans to report on issues that matter and to listen to what we have to say to each other without fear of government punishment. Selling body parts is a crime. Reporting on it is not. I will never bow to the tyrannical vision of leaders like Kamala Harris who believe that they are entitled to tell us what to think, what to believe, and what to say.
Wow. Yeah, they do want to tell us what to think and what we can say. They want to intimidate us, and they will use arcane laws sitting unused on the books.
Guy just looked like he was trying to tear down a high place, you know?
Yeah.
You know, he's just trying to tear down a high place, and now they're trying to tear him down for trying to tear down what should be torn down.
Was that a Kamala-ism?
A little bit. I don't think so. Did I make a little bit of
tear it
sense?
down?
A little bit of sense,
tear
probably.
it down when you're gonna tear it down, because that's a tear down. You know?
Yeah.
We're gonna tear it down.
But actually, Tim's made sense.
Yeah.
Tim was saying they're trying to tear him down when he's actually attacking evil. They attack the one who's doing good.
Right.
Why is it that when the highest evil is attacked, that's when people get offended and want to come back at you for doing the right thing?
What does it say about the character of a person who would attack those who tear down the highest evil known to man? First of all, murder, but then not only to murder, but to take the body parts of the ones murdered and sell them.
And the most innocent.
The most innocent, the most defenseless.
But I think that also
the most vulnerable.
I think that also goes back to, if we bring up, you know, the word that nobody wants to bring up, which is the vaccination. I guess it's an organization, Project Veritas, actually spoke with somebody who was within one of the pharmaceutical companies that said that they were using cells from aborted fetuses to put them within the vaccination. And I just think that keeps going back and forth, that it's like you're trying to uncover and bring light to a lot of situations that they're trying to just hush, make sure that nobody knows anything about it. Because how many people got this vaccination and had no idea that these cells were in the makeup of it?
Such a great point.
Great point. Yeah, I think the biggest point here is to focus back on Kamala Harris, because we can all just voice our disgust for abortion and selling baby parts all day long, and we should. And you guys do it all the time. You guys have been to abortion clinics and prayed with people outside and all that stuff. So there's no end to that. But today's show, really, we need to talk about Kamala Harris, who she is, and how far she's willing to go to violate the law to get her policy through. Where we were asking the question at the beginning, oh, is she just a kind, nice little lady, or, you know, and she's not.
Yeah, she has no moral compass, no standard that would keep her from doing just about anything. And in fact, that video right there shows that there is no length to which she would not go. The level of evil that she's capable of is displayed in what she fought for. So just that one evidence right there is all we need to know about her character. But you do see it in so many other things. The most liberal, most leftist voting record in all of the Senate, worse than Bernie Sanders in 2019, the highest left-leaning rating of any senator, because she was in California. And so she's looking to get elected by a leftist population. She was willing to say and do what that population wanted her to say and do. So there's nothing nothing governing her morality. Mm-hmm. She's willing to do whatever is popular, or what she jumped on board the BLM riots and said they should continue because that was the momentum. Now she would distance herself from that because the momentum is no longer with BLM rioting.
Right.
But whatever the moment brings to her mind, she's willing to just say it. She doesn't have a filter. She's just completely unhinged. She's no longer at all tethered in any way, shape, or form to a standard. We as Christians have a standard. We have the Word of God. What standard does Kamala Harris live by?
She doesn't, and she's got. I've heard the phrase or idiom for a long time. They make so many laws that everybody's guilty of something, but she's actually literally invoking the ability to take people down for laws that aren't used against other people. So a law that was on the books and never used, all of a sudden is used as a weapon. I can't tell you how disgusting that is.
Right. And even by the letter of the law, it wasn't right because they were recording in public places where you cannot presume privacy.
Oh yeah, I think they've got a great case. They've got a great case. Let me ask our special guest, Mrs. Robinson. Mare, we'll call you Mare. Hey, Mare, what do you think? Should Kamala Harris even be a candidate at all?
I do not think so. So from the biblical standpoint, because this is tearing down high places, we're doing it with the foundation in Christ. One thing that I want to make apparent is like what we were talking about earlier, is she's had a debased mind since day one. I won't go into detail, but we can go back for whatever from the start of her career and, the things that she did in order to get to the places that she was. Nothing was of good character, I guess you could say. But I was mentioning to Jeff earlier, and I've had conversations to Tim about this, about a Jezebel spirit. Does the Bible directly talk about a Jezebel spirit? No. But does it mention Jezebel? And if we go into 1 Kings and we try to understand who Jezebel was, she was promoting the worship of Baal, which is demonic. And then Revelation even talks about her in a sense of, so many people tolerated her in a sense when she was seducing people to, carry out sexual immorality. And this is what we're seeing. And the reason why I bring up Jezebel's spirit is because this is running rampant in our country. There's nothing new under the sun, but clearly what you see is a lot of women who think that they can rule over men. And what they're going to promote is they're going to try to appeal to a lot of feminist agenda in the sense of, my body, my choice. You're equal to men. And that's not how God ever intended it. So if we go back, Tim talked about this in our Bible study on Thursday, going back to Genesis 3, where it makes that command that husbands, wives, your husbands will rule over you. And, of course, that's always going to be a thorn in a lot of women's side at the fact that they never want to succumb to that. They don't want to answer to a man. And that's what you're seeing right now with Kamala Harris. It's like she's literally trying to uproot marriages in the sense of, giving into LGBTQ, giving up to the role of a woman where you're supposed to be a nurturer. You're supposed to stand for children because they can't speak for themselves. And that's what you're seeing. So it's like I will 100% be against her running for office. And not only that, I know that I'm going to get a lot of slack for this, but I honestly do not believe that women should be an authority over the free world. Like there are positions that they can assume that would, help along our country. But in general, I've always laughed and made a joke. I said, for any woman who's been in a female-driven environment, we are so much driven by our emotions, by our feelings, and you cannot run a country on that whatsoever. We can't we would literally crumble. And I laugh because I'm like, I'm pretty sure Vladimir Putin is shaking in his boots that Kamala Harris is going to be our president. I'm like, I said it to him, I'm like, they would nuke us in a heartbeat just for the mere fact that they're like, okay, this clown is in office. So you're like, it's as straightforward as it gets, and you wish that a lot of people's eyes would be open, but they talk about it in Romans, like they're going to give people over to a debased mind because this is what they keep choosing. They keep choosing their sin. So do I want to see our country crumble and literally it no longer is one nation under God? 100% no.
I'm going to play devil's advocate and say, what, but come on. I mean, can't women rule too? Wasn't there a woman named Deborah in the book of Judges that ruled, you know? Maybe Jeff, you want to answer that one?
I'm going to jump in on that one because we don't want to just like put Mary Elizabeth on the spot, although I'm
sure away.
So the whole point of the Deborah story, if you actually read it from beginning to end, is that it would be inglorious for her to receive the victory over the enemy, but rather Barak was supposed to be the one to go. But because he was so weak, so cowardly, he refused to go into battle. And so Deborah led because the man refused to step up. That's the point. In fact, when Jael takes a tent peg and drives it through the head of the enemy dies at the hands of a woman to shame him even more for his wicked rule. So the whole point of the Deborah story is that these men were not willing to step up and lead. And so God used a woman as further judgment on Israel for their departing from the ways of the Lord. But if you notice that was the exception, not the rule, and it contains right within the story these statements about Barak being unwilling to lead and her comment that this is not God's design.
Yeah. And let's pray that our daughters aren't surrounded by such weak men that they have to go into battle to defend our homes. How horrible is that? And I said this to my daughter. I said, she asked me because of Kamala. She said, so do you think that Kamala would be a good president? I mean, she's a woman. Can you vote for a woman? She literally said that. I said, absolutely not. I can't. And she got, she was shocked, just like, Mare alluded to, that people would be shocked. But I said to her, remember we were talking about the draft and going into battle. You don't want to be drafted, right? She said, oh no, I do not want to be drafted. I said, I don't want you to be drafted. I said, and nor do I want you to make decisions over who does get drafted and who does go to war if you don't have the threat of the wickedness of war hanging over your head. I personally, I've never served in the military. I don't think I'm qualified because of that, So, yeah. So, I mean, I think, we're just so inundated with Wonder Woman, and there's another character. All these women are just going around in the movie theaters blowing people up. That's not their role. That's not God's gift to them. Their gift is to give life and to nurture, like Mare said. But these women, Mare, do these women just hate this gift that they have? Is that what it is?
I don't think it's so much that they hate it. It's a lot of them are like the blind leading the blind, and it's like they resent it. They resent that this is the natural order of things. And it's like, what do like a lot of people who are worldly, that's what they want to do. They want to rebel against what is supposed to be. Not that they even have a recollection of like, oh, this isn't right or this is wrong. Like they do have that recollection. It's like, but they'd rather, answer to this than answer to that.
Wow.
Do you think there's a turning point coming though? Because all the families that I know where feminism is the rule of the home are in disarray, and the husband and wife are not happy. The children are not happy. There's not just this unity and growth of the family together in godliness. And the outcomes are just really bad. Like feminism has a track record now from the 1960s to 2024, and it's divorce rates of more than 50%. And of the homes that are not plagued with divorce, there's also just not a lot of good, right relationships. So do you think there's going to be a movement back to biblical Christianity and homes that are rightly ordered according to the word of God? Is there a time when people just wake up?
I pray
I think
that
that's the hope right there, right? We're hoping that people would wake up because, yeah, you don't even have to read the Bible to just look at the families that are happy and look at the families that are miserable. And Jeff is right. Every family that I know that the woman is the leader of the household, it never ends good. It's always just chaos. Every family probably has family drama or is dysfunctional to some degree. But the ones where the woman is the lead, and especially when the man doesn't take that role and he's afraid or a coward, especially just backing down when he knows the right thing to do, but knows it's going to make his wife mad or whatever. When he's in the woman role and the woman is in the man role, it's always bad. And Jeff is right. The kids are unhappy and they don't even know what a proper household looks like, to where even when the kids grow up, they don't know what it even is to be a man because they watched their dad just be a coward their whole life.
How much is this in the church, though? I mean, we know our culture is steeped in feminism, and feminism is a word that describes a lot more than what we're just talking about here. It reaches into all the LGBTQ stuff. It reaches into how a whole bunch of other things. But sadly, I think it is in the church. It's just not called feminism. They're not coming out and saying it, but I think that it's probably not seen a lot. But when kids go home, we don't know exactly what their household is like. And I know of families where I knew they grew up in the church. And then when I get an inside look, it's a little bit different, where I can tell that the woman is in charge and they don't really have the same beliefs as the Bible. And I think there are confused folk that go to church, especially if they go to a watered down church that doesn't preach what Pastor Jeff is preaching on Sundays according to the Word of God. Or new believers,
New believers, yeah.
Always bringing, we gotta always be bringing up, lifting brothers up,
Right. And
Mare,
you could step into a church for the first time, and you might be coming from a household like that. You're not going to switch it in one day and know what to do. That's why you need brothers and sisters in Christ, and you need teachers and you need pastors to help you sort through things and be teachable, be open to realize, wow, we were doing that the wrong way. Let's try it the right way.
We got to be discipling all the time. Mare, who specifically were you thinking of when you said, I know I'm going to hear some flack if I say this?
This is full disclosure. So I do usually know people that, like, I won't name names or like a grouping of people, but for the most part, a lot of slack that I do hear from are women of color that, they will sit there, and this goes back to when BLM started their whole organization for the most part, and they were running rampant in the streets and labeling white privilege everywhere and then some. And I was like, my dad's Black, my mom is white. So, the experiences that I have are not experiences I made up. They've, been experiences that I've actually lived through. And I'm like, racism doesn't extend from, a white side or a Black side. It's literally everybody across the board. It's just an inherent quality that a lot of people have, and you can't label just one race with, the brunt of it all. So with me addressing Kamala Harris, that's what you're seeing in a lot of, people of color, POC, all the little acronyms that they like to come up with. But they have this allegiance, mainly women, to voting for people of color. And it's like a great concern for me, because I'm like, these people are not, under cloaks, like, and they have no idea what their policies are or what they're about or anything. Like, everything is full disclosure. It's right there for them to read. It's right there for them to see, but mainly because they want to, wear pride as their color. Like, they have so much pride in their color and their race that they're not willing to see anything past that. That's why you see a lot of women of color who are like, Donald Trump is a racist. He's this, he's that. But I'm like, I brought up to Tim in a conversation, I said, but it's so hypocritical, because when you research Biden's background, there's been on numerous occasions where he said very racist comments, one being poor kids are just as smart as white kids. And you're like, but you voted for that because he put Kamala Harris as his running mate, like somebody that was going to be there. So basically they didn't think, it's like every single thing that they try to like press on people when it comes to racism or, you know, being sexist or feminist, it's always going to be more racially driven than anything else.
Do you think, Mare, do you think that people love racism, or do they love the sin of division? They like to create divisions.
Definitely like to create division, without a doubt. And that's something that you're seeing continued on. Like there's video after video of conservatives and even people who are, you know, left leaning that are like, you know, when they start this new, you know, with Kamala Harris being in office, when they start her little ad campaign, they're like, can you please not pander to us anymore? Because number one, Kamala Harris is not fully Black. She's not married to somebody of color. Her kids really don't appear to be of color. So it's, you know, don't pander to us and say that we have to vote for you, or that, you know, we're not in self-loathing if we don't vote for you, that kind of thing. And it's something that I wish that people would kind of take off their rose-colored glasses when it comes to color and realize that it's like you can vote for somebody who does not look like you. It doesn't mean that you don't like yourself or that, you know, you're promoting racism, because clearly you're not. But it's like they've allowed it to cloud their judgment so much that this is why they keep making these decisions over and over again. Like if we're gonna bring up abortion, everybody knows Margaret Sanger was a known racist, and the main race that's being aborted are Black babies. So it's like, you got to make it make sense somewhere. Like if you're for Black Lives Matter, then you should be outside those Planned Parenthoods fighting your butt off. So, you know, they're continuing to have Black babies. It's like, why do you think the percentage is so low? Because it's like, you know, with the fatherless households that are in the Black community, the babies being aborted at that rate. And it's unfortunate that they think that's racist to bring up these statistics, but at the end of the day, that's what's real. That's what's really going on. And it's like, you can't shield it. You can't throw some, you know, racist thing on there and say that's what it is. It's not. It's very straightforward in this world, and it's not because of white people that this is happening.
That's such an amazing point. They're going to keep pulling that race card and playing that all the way till November 5th. But just like you said, Mary Elizabeth, she's from Jamaica and India. And on the Jamaican side, she's from one of the largest slave holding families in Jamaica. It's not that this is some badge of honor for. Oh, did you know that, Joe?
Slave holder?
Yeah. The Jamaican
No way.
father goes back to a slave line of the slave holder side, not those who were enslaved.
Mm-hmm.
She's a baby body part selling, slave holding.
No, okay. So the left is going to say because her ancestors, you know, are of a certain race or ethnicity, that means she has these intersectional points to be able to speak. But we don't hold that. We hold what? Meritocracy, right? They're going to try to play the race card. We say, what is her merit? Okay, she was made the border czar. It was her job, and you can go back and watch the videos where Biden appoints her as the border czar to rein in the number of illegal immigrants crossing the border. How has she done? On merit. Let's just judge this on merit. That was her responsibility as the vice president. That has been the worst part of the presidency of Joe Biden.
Did he really want her to rein anything in?
He set her up to fail because he put Mayorkas in place and just, you know, he repealed everything.
Hey, Kamala, guard the border.
Yeah. But that's the thing. She was willing to go along with that, which shows she has no standard. Now it's coming back to bite her because she was the border czar, and now the whole country wants us to rein in the border. But Biden's first day one, I think it was January 20th or 21st, when he was sworn in, he also wrote executive orders to repeal stay in Mexico and all of those policies, which was actually keeping the border somewhat under control. Look at the chart that Donald Trump had up on the map behind him when he turned to the right, and that saved his life. That chart saved his life. it shows immigration and the illegal crossings right through the end of his presidency, and then when it spikes, when Joe Biden takes over. Well, that's all under Kamala Harris. That's her merit, so-called. So if you're to judge her by merit, that's all she has.
Wow. You know, if this would be hilarious if she didn't have a legit shot at winning.
Right.
And the problem is she really does have a legit shot. Even though I think she only got 2% of the polls in Iowa when she was in the Democratic primaries 4 years ago, trying to get the Democratic nomination or herself. She was laughed out. No one took her seriously. She's got a legit shot. I mean, especially because I don't think the Republicans did anything about ensuring that we're even going to have a fair election.
Well, why was she picked in the first place? If she only got 2% in the Iowa straw poll, she's
a DEI hire.
Right, because
Biden said DEI hire.
Ahead of time, he said, I'm going to pick a black woman. He was totally diversity, equity, inclusion.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Mare, how do you think, has anyone ever thought you might be a DEI hire? And did you feel like, they weren't respecting your credentials because of your, something like that? Or have you ever heard of someone else having that kind of experience? That's a no. So it's good. It's just good. But Vodi Bakum talks about it. I know you guys are all Vodi Bakum fans, and Vodi Bakum says he went and got his master's degree in theology over in England at Oxford, specifically because he didn't want people to think that he got through in America just because of the color of his skin. He didn't want people to think that he just got passed through. He wanted people to know he did the work. He deserved the degrees. And that's not what happens here in America.
Well, to kind of jump on that, because it's actually really funny you asking me that question, because I said to Tim, it's kind of hard to describe because I'm just doing this based off of my own life, not like off of anybody else's. But I'm like, when you're sitting here and you're thinking like, I always make jokes when I see sometimes like black people driving like really nice cars, and I'll look at Tim, I'll be like, they must be so oppressed. Oh, so oppressed. And I'll look at him and I'm like, when is it jokingly, I'll be like, when is it going to work out for me? Because for the most part, like, not that I actually want it to like work like that, but just as a joke. Because you sit there and you think, like, when I met with a counselor in high school, they actually, even though that they would have us check off boxes in school of like what our race was, like my siblings and I would always check off black and white, like, our mom and our dad, that's 50-50 came together. So we are just as much her as we are him. But the school district that I was in ignored it, and they would always put our race as black. So when we would go and we would meet with counselors, it's very clear, like even our counselors being primarily white would tell us, oh, you guys can get scholarships for being black, for, being black and having these grades, for being black and being this well-rounded, for being black and like being athletic. And there's so many ways that you can get kickbacks for being black. And you think I graduated in 2012, but this is stemming, like, you meet with a counselor every single year of high school. So this has been going on since, God knows when, that they've been informing children of color, mainly black children, that you can get all of these perks. Now, did I ever benefit from that? I wouldn't say I ever did. I could go down a rabbit hole and tell you some of my situations that I dealt with in college. But for the most part, like, I agree with him. I feel like now you really do have to separate yourself because it's so inherent how many perks, Black children do receive when, especially from graduating from high school or from graduating from college. And I do, like, I believe someone like him who is fully black, that it's like, sometimes you want to separate yourself from all the handouts that you're given so that people know that you worked your butt off. Because I can tell you there's kids that are graduating from high school that were just really good at football that had like a 2.0 GPA and they got full rides to really good colleges. And it's like, that's really sad that you're going off of the back of your color not your merit, not how hardworking you were. And that's something that I feel like needs to be brought to light, because for people like Candace Owens or Vodi Bakum, and, you know, just the way that they went about things, because they didn't want people to think I earned this because I pressed the victim mentality.
That is well said. Well said. I'll tell you, Mare, if you do want to start your own business, you get like 10 to 15 points off of contract bids on all government work. The SBA will bend over backwards to give you loans. Of course, make sure, even if you're not making any money, that you show a profit so that you pay taxes, because they want to see the taxes. Then they give you the bonus. I can tell you all about it.
You know what's interesting about this conversation too is that the recent Supreme Court, led by Clarence Thomas in this decision, was against affirmative action, because affirmative action has been a failure. And yet Clarence Thomas is the one who is most hated on the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
How is this? It's just an upside down moral system coming from the left.
Yeah. I was talking to my dad recently about this. I said, you know, Dad, and I was like, I said, the black Catholics on the Supreme Court are okay, but those Irish Catholics are killing us. So that would be, nobody gets the joke. That would be the other woman there who came from Notre Dame, and then Kavanaugh. They're both Irish Catholics. My dad's Catholic. I was messing with him. So that joke didn't hit. Mare, tell a joke. You were being funny today. I need help.
I'm not really good with off the cuff jokes.
They don't all land. You got to be daring. You know, sometimes it lands, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
So, well, guys, I mean, I think this was a very fruitful episode, because we really need to take this woman seriously. She's, you know, she seems like she's not a serious candidate. She is going to be a serious candidate. I'm very interested to see how if they debate. That's going to be interesting.
I got a quick story before we go, Joe.
Yeah.
When I was in 7th grade, my English teacher, we were talking about who the next president was going to be, and who we asked her, who do you want the next president to be? And she said Hillary Clinton. And we said, why do you want Hillary Clinton to be the president? And she said, well, because she's a woman and I want to see a woman president in my lifetime. That's a horrible reason to vote. So when someone says, oh, I want to vote for this person because she's a woman, or this person because she's black, that's just not good thinking. This is a really big, important vote. So you don't just do that because you want to see a woman at the top or a black person at the top. That's not what it's really about. That's all I just wanted to say. Just bad thinking, bad teaching, not good.
If it's sexism in one direction, it should be sexism in the other direction, right? If it's racism in one direction, it should be racism in the other direction, right?
Yep.
And Mare is just as black as Kamala Harris, but someone would look at Mare and what she believes and say you're whitewashed. But if you look at Kamala Harris, they wouldn't say that at all. Why? Why? Because we have different beliefs. That means that makes you white or black. It's like Joe Biden saying, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. That makes them think, oh, well, black is the number one thing I want to be, so I better vote for Joe Biden. That's just not good thinking. Don't get manipulated into voting the wrong way because you just are told to.
Joe Biden and I are both Irish. We don't think alike.
Well, I have to say one thing. We fought how many years for women's rights? We fought how many years to abolish slavery, so black people were treated equal. And the thing is, if we fought that hard, then we would literally be so happy and joyful at the fact that women and being of color, you can have differing opinions. Like, that's the freedom in this country. So when people attack you just because they're like, you should be black, so you should vote for this, or you should be white, so you should vote for this, or whatever they say, that's how you know how wrong people are in their thinking. And that's what I've received a lot. People are like, how could you? Like, are you not black? And it's like, I don't answer to my color. Like, I'm first and foremost a Christ follower. So I'm going to do my best to, if we're looking at voting as a civic duty, which I took seriously when I turned 18, is the mere fact that it's like, you're going to have to do it from a biblical foundation. And it's like, that's what irritates me, is you can't say you're a Christian and be voting for Kamala Harris. You can't say you're a Christian and supporting abortion. It's like, what do we call that? Lukewarm, and God will spit you right back out.
You got to play that little clip, Joe.
With you people? What's wrong with you people?
You can never get enough RC, right?
That's great. Hey, Joe, if somebody is claiming to be a Christian, yet is supporting somebody who not only supported the BLM riots and said that they're not going to stop and they should not stop, she spurred on the BLM riots, which did more than $2 billion worth of damage in cities and killed 27 innocent people.
Yeah.
So if someone's going to support someone like that and someone who defended the selling of baby parts, and they say, well, it's because she's a woman or has certain skin color. May the Lord judge between me and you. And I would hate for that person to stand on Judgment Day before God with that argument, because God defends the innocent and he loves people. He does not tolerate that kind of thing.
No. And we got to be prepared. They're going to come back with other arguments. I can even tell you what some of them are. Some of the arguments are they're not making a profit on those baby parts, but they were selling them. But they have clips out there showing that they take out of content. Well, we're not really making a profit. We want these to be out there. Hello. It's crazy. But the attack is on thought. The attack is on First Amendment. The attack is on our freedom of speech, which is our freedom of thought, which is our freedom of religion. That's why there's 5 freedoms in the First Amendment. They're all in there because they're all interconnected. And that is what Kamala Harris hates. All right. Lift the brother up.
Here we go.
See the brother down.
Lift him up. Pick him up. Pick him up, Mare. There you go.
Place. Tear it down.
You got to tear it down.
Woo.